youthful, you're gonna die. Now this is gonna be great. Look, no more responsibility. Don't have to pay those bills anymore. Don't have to worry about anything. You're gonna just die.
That's
And let's
it.
go out with a bang.
What's up? What's up? What's going on, guys? Welcome to the very first episode of the General Future Podcast. That's the working name for now. I haven't come up with a better title for it, but be ready for some change. Change is the only constant. Why a podcast? Well, first off, let me go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Dave. Happy Friday. I'm recording this on December 8th, Friday, 2023. And if you're listening to this on the day that it comes out, happy Friday, TGIF. And if you're listening to this sometime in the near or distant future, hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, happy birthday. If you're sober, congratulations on another day of sobriety. I am newly 40 years old. And as I was approaching my 40th birthday, my wife told me that Alexis Chung, the model Instagram internet personality, had published a piece in Vogue talking about some 40 pearls of wisdom, as she put it. Let me share this with you real quick. Screen share from Vogue. So yeah, this is Alexa Chung. Newly 40, Alexa Chung shares 40 pearls of wisdom with Vogue. She turned 40 about a little less than a month before I did. But let's talk about what she talks about. Wherever I travel, I always regret not packing a navy blue sweater. That seems like an easily fixable problem. So we'll go ahead and chalk that one up to not really a crazy pearl of wisdom. Number 2, as a 20-something millennial, I knew the world revolved around me and that I was special. And by now, I am aware that the exact opposite is true, and actually any calamity I've experienced has been encountered by most humans and will be again. It is true that every thorn has a rose, and getting through those more testing times has made me certain that and then go into number 3, blah blah blah. And yeah, I thought it was a really fun idea. I've got ideas, right? I've learned something over the course of 40 years of life, and the more I thought about it, the more I came to realize that, number one, it would feel frustrating to try and condense 40 years of life experience into smart sounding quips. I'm much more of a long form guy, as you'll probably come to see in this podcast. And number 2, I really, for a long time, have been wanting to put more of myself out there on the internet. Not because I have some crazy celebrity death wish, but more so because I've recently come across a way of thinking, or more so, I guess, my version of a midlife crisis has been to develop very strong beliefs that I hadn't had before, and I feel compelled to share this, and at least how I got to it, with as many people as possible, because I feel like this is a common issue that many people face, and I've done a lot of thinking about what I think the root cause could be, how it could be addressed, and specifically at the individual level, What are some things that you can do to help get you in touch with, what I've gotten in touch with? And if nothing else, I want to put myself out there and be a representative, someone that can put out the vibe so that you can pick up on it if you are, seeking that wavelength, and you can tune in and get on my vibe, and we can party together and have a good time. So yeah, that's it. Some of the things that I had written down on my list at first. So number 1 was order your steak however the hell you like it. Number 2, this one is a jiu-jitsu specific one. Always fight for the underhook. Simple day one jiu-jitsu stuff, but still belongs on that list because it's so true. Number 3, 3 songs is the absolute limit for karaoke night at a bar. So if you're at a bar and they're having karaoke night, you talk yourself into finally going up there and performing, and you're all jazzed up. You go and throw another one on there, and perhaps another one on after that. After that point, I would recommend that you walk away from the microphone for the rest of the night, have a couple drinks, get your hands sore from clapping, and, unless you're an absolute legend, I think 3 songs is the max for karaoke. Number 4, this one's a little bit unique, but you never know. If you ever lose your motorcycle keys in a swamp, don't worry. Just drink more beers. People will be on the way to help. It will not ruin your trip to Sturgis. And the last one, kind of on a serious note, but start with why. Get to the root of whatever it is that you're dealing with. And, this is a point that I think has always been the way that I've thought about things, and they've also come in handy in my career as a product manager thus far. In order to clearly define or to clearly set expectations, it's very important that the core of the issue or the core of the problem that is to be addressed is clearly defined. And, maybe it was too much work. Maybe it was too much thinking this way. But I found myself, the more I asked why in life, why are we alive? What is the purpose of life? Through my various life experiences, I'm 40 years old. I'm married. I have had a multitude of jobs. I've lived in a few pretty cool cities. I've had a lot of great experiences. I've had a lot of terrible experiences. Through all those things combined, the hobbies that I keep up, I'm really big into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. As of late, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I'm huge into comedy podcasts, and that's another reason why I started to think that maybe I wanted to do a podcast. But all these things combined in this soup called my life, and they led me to a realization that was more like a shift in the way that I looked at things. And so all that to say, the reason why I am doing this podcast, the reason why I'm going to be more myself on the internet and on social media is, again, my mission is to shine my light. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Facts. My mission is to spread the vibe to the frequency that I've tuned into by sharing thoughts, observations, and ideas. The next thing I want to talk about is, another thing that inspired me on this, as I was preparing for what it is that I wanted to talk about in this first episode. I came across this quote by Timothy Leary. If you're not familiar with who he is, he was a very formative person in the introduction and exploration of psychedelic drugs during the 60s. And this is his quote. Admit it. You aren't like them. You're not even close. You may occasionally dress yourself up as one of them, watch the same mindless television shows as they do, maybe even eat the same fast food sometimes. But it seems that the more you try to fit in, the more you feel like an outsider, watching the normal people as they go about their automatic existences. For every time you say club passwords like, "Have a nice day," and "Weather is awful today, eh?" you yearn inside to say forbidden things like, "Tell me something that makes you cry," or "What do you think deja vu is for?" Face it, you even want to talk to that girl in the elevator. But what if that girl in the elevator and the balding man who walks past your cubicle at work are thinking the same thing? Who knows what you might learn from taking a chance on conversation with a stranger? Everyone carries a piece of the puzzle. Nobody comes into your life by mere coincidence. Trust your instincts. Do the unexpected. Find the others. And yeah, that quote just lit a fire under my ass that made me want to get out and just do this damn thing. My takeaway from that is that everybody walks around wishing that they could connect with somebody else on a deeper level. But this kind of connection isn't something that is possible until you are fully secure and in yourself, and you are willing to look life in the eye and just fucking go for it. And this is really enabled by coming to the understanding that I came to, which is the fact that this consciousness or this awareness that lives in each of us is a part of the same thing. It's all a part of the same universal consciousness. And the fact that it resides in our bodies, which are separate from one another, is exactly the thing that is very difficult for us to get over, and makes it challenging, extremely challenging for us to come to grips with the fact that there is no separation between who people truly are on the inside. Everybody is more alike than you can possibly even imagine. Every person that's alive has that same fear of death, and stemming from that, based on the unique circumstances that they have lived in, the fear of death, or the fear of injury, or the fear of being hurt, they look and feel and sound and smell like different things, but ultimately the fear is rooted in the same thing, and that is in the misconception that the bodies that we're in, that the spirit that lives inside this body, that this is the only ride that we get, that this is the one and done. It's that, understandable misunderstanding that is driving that. But my faith, my hope is in the fact that if I am able to spread this message and get people on this vibe, once they come to this realization, we're in for some fantastic things in all areas. Going back to being authentically, genuinely yourself, this is something that is available to everyone. We live so much of our lives just focused on just what it is that we're going to do in order to get some money so we can put food on the table, keep the roof over our heads. And, once we get caught up in this rat race, it can be a little bit difficult to separate or tear your attention and your focus away from that. And instead, take a couple steps back and think a little bit more deeply about what it is that we're actually doing here, what it all means, and how coming to this understanding of what's really going on can color the way, the attitude with which you approach everyday life. Once you come to this realization, you will come to find that you no longer have a fear of judgment or being judged by anyone or judging yourself even, or judging others. You come to understand and have empathy and sympathy for the fact that if they are behaving in a way that seems unbecoming of a person, most likely that is rooted in the fact that this person does not understand the fact that death is not real, the fact that this trip that we get in this life is just a ride, and we are in control of how it is that we're in control of our perspective of it. And then finally, in terms of being able to connect to other people, this like true unique connections to one another can only be forged in unexplored, new, unwritten areas. All of the commonalities that we have with people that are based in common experiences that have been more or less, man-made in an effort to deliver a specific goal. I'm going to stop beating around the bush. I'm talking about school. Just because you went to school with someone, you were in the same classroom as they were, you were learning the same things from the teacher. But it's not the things that you learned from the teacher that brings you together, that forged your bond. It's all the stuff that happened in the gray area, in the spaces and times outside of the structured activity. And I feel like the gray area that many people have been unwilling to tread into, but more and more people are starting to wade into. That gray area is actually in content creation, because it's not about putting your content out there in order to make a lot of money so that you can, so you can be famous, etc. It's going through the exercise of putting your thoughts together, of having a message, of coming up with your message, knowing what it is, and putting it out there. But yeah, what else? Episode 1. So another thing that I had picked up in my product management practice professionally, and really it is true of everything, really. Define some things that you want to see, that you want to have happen, that you want to accomplish at the very beginning, and you will work your way towards it once you've defined that clearly enough. So even though this is episode 1, I'm going to give this a shot. With this podcast, by putting myself out there and sharing my understanding of the world with everyone, I want to inspire others to find themselves by being myself. I want to spread awareness of this understanding that I've come to online. I also want this online community and the growth of it to then translate into local organizations as well. An idea that I've been discussing with some friends and family before already is the standing up of community centers, or just centers for people to gather specifically for the purpose of spending time in fellowship with people who have this understanding. A long-winded way of saying church. I don't have a problem with church, with Christianity. My issue, the reason why I'm not a Christian is because I don't believe in the details of the story, of like the story itself. I believe and I understand the message that Jesus was trying to get across, and I believe that the wavelength or the vibe that I have tapped into is actually what Christians refer to as Christ consciousness as well. And it's not that I want to abolish churches. It's just that I think now in 2023, we are overdue for the creation of a new type of church, a new type of community center that can really serve the needs of the communities of today instead of being mired down by the tradition and suffering under the weight of having to carry the tradition forward. And again, this is just episode 1, and I'm intentionally thinking big in order to set high goals for myself. And that's another thing that I plan on introducing as a a periodic follow-up is any progress on that lofty goal, Dave, and we'll see. And finally, I think I'm bumping up against the 20-minute mark now. One last thing that I want to leave you with is, I know I've talked a lot of crazy nonsense on this podcast. If this is your first time talking or hearing me or getting to know me, I assure you I am not insane. I feel like what I'm doing is distilling all the stuff that I have read and that has resonated with me that I hope will resonate with you as well. And the clip that I'm going to leave you with is a clip of Bill Hicks talking about how, hey, this is all just a ride.
There is a point. Is there a point to all this? Let's find a point. Is there a point to my act? I would say there is. I have to. The world is like a ride at an amusement park, and when you choose to go on it, you think it's real, because that's how powerful our minds are. And the ride goes up and down and round and round. It has thrills and chills, and it's very brightly colored, and it's very loud, and it's fun for a while. Some people have been on the ride for a long time, and they begin to question, is this real, or is this just a ride? And other people have remembered, and they come back to us, and they say, hey, don't worry, don't be afraid, ever, because this is just a ride. And we kill those people. Shut him up. We have a lot invested in this ride. Shut him up. Look at my furrows of worry. Look at my big bank account and my family. This has to be real. It's just a ride. But we always kill those good guys who try and tell us that. You ever notice that? And let the demons run amok? But it doesn't matter, because it's just a ride. And we can change it anytime we want. It's only a choice. No effort, no work, no job, no savings of money. A choice right now between fear and love. The eyes of fear want you to put bigger locks on your door, buy guns, close yourself off. The eyes of love instead see all of us as one. Here's what we can do to change the world right now to a better ride. Take all that money we spend on weapons and defense each year and instead spend it feeding, clothing, and educating the poor of the world, which it would many times over, not one human being excluded, and we can explore space together, both inner and outer, forever in peace.
Amen. And with that, I'll talk to you guys on the next one.
Have a capacity to cut through places where you are attached and clinging, to set them aside and show you a possibility. Problem is that they don't allow you to become the possibility, they only show you the possibility. Then after a few hours, you lose the view of the possibility and you have it only as a memory.